you're still walking every day. You're staying active. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So this part doesn't make sense. After a normal walk, your legs don't feel better. They feel tired, heavy, slightly slower than they should. Not pain, not injury, just a quiet kind of fatigue that doesn't match the effort you just made. And here's what most people never get told. Sometimes it's not that the legs are getting weaker, it's that certain small signals that help your legs prepare for movement aren't fully turning back on, even while you're walking. So the walk still happens, but your legs do more work than they need to. And this is where it usually begins, lower in the leg than most people expect. Let's start there, because this is often where the problem quietly starts. The first movement is the heel raise. This gentle exercise restores one of the earliest support signals in walking. Before the body moves smoothly forward, the feet and calves guide weight upward and ahead in a controlled way. When that signal becomes less responsive, each step quietly asks for more effort than it should. Not enough to stop you from walking, but enough to leave the legs feeling more tired than expected. And most people never notice this happening. Let's restore that signal. Stand comfortably behind a chair or near a wall for support. Keep your feet about hip-width apart. Slowly lift your heels. Pause at the top, then lower with control. Lift, pause, lower. No rushing. As you continue, notice the lower legs. You may feel a light warmth in the calves or a clearer sense of connection through the feet. That's often the first sign something is starting to respond again. Not stronger yet, just more ready. Try 8 to 12 slow repetitions. If lifting high feels difficult, keep it small. Even a slight lift can restore timing. If comfortable, hold the top for 2 or 3 seconds. Avoid bouncing or moving quickly. Fast movement may feel active, but it makes the signal less clear. Slow movement rebuilds control. If standing feels tiring, you can also do this seated by lifting the heels while keeping the front of the foot grounded. Some people later progress to alternating heel raises, which can improve single leg awareness and smoother stepping. This first movement helps the lower leg become more responsive again. But this is where many people misunderstand what's really happening. Tired legs after walking are not always just about the calves. Sometimes the real issue is how the legs share movement from side to side. When that part is missing, walking starts to feel more draining than it should. The next movement is where that begins to change. The second movement is marching in place, slow and controlled. If the heel raise helps restore the lower leg's push and support signal, marching helps rebuild timing, and this part matters more than most people expect. Walking is not only forward motion, it is also a repeating exchange of support. One leg accepts weight while the other prepares to move. When that rhythm becomes less clear, the body may still keep walking, but each step quietly costs more energy than it should. That's where fatigue begins to build. Let's gently bring that rhythm back. Stand tall near chair or countertop if you'd like support. Slowly lift one knee as if beginning a step, but stay in place. Lift only to a comfortable height. Lower it back down with control. Then lift the other knee. Left and right. Move slowly enough that each step feels clear. You're not trying to move faster or lift higher. You're helping the body remember how each step is meant to happen. As you continue, notice what changes. Your standing leg may feel more stable. The moving leg may feel easier to place back down. Weight shifting may feel less vague and more predictable. Try 8 to 10 lifts per side. If balance feels uncertain, keep one or both hands lightly supported. If lifting the knee feels tiring, reduce the height. Even a slight marching motion can help rebuild timing between the feet, calves, thighs, and hips. Avoid rushing. Moving faster may feel active, but it often hides the problem instead of fixing it. Clarity matters more than effort. This is often the point where something clicks. The legs were not necessarily tired because they walked too little. They were tired because the movement pattern was costing more energy than it should. Marching begins to correct that. But this is still not the full picture. Even with better timing, the legs can still feel tired if the whole body is not sharing the load properly. And this is where the biggest shift usually happens. The third movement is the horse stance. If the first exercise helped restore push and the second restored stepping rhythm, this final movement helps the legs relearn how to carry you together. Walking doesn't come from one muscle at a time. It depends on how calmly the feet, calves, thighs, and hips share load with each other. This is the part many people never fully rebuild. When that support becomes less coordinated, people often notice a specific kind of tiredness. The legs aren't necessarily painful, they just feel overworked, even after something as simple as walking. That's why this movement is so useful. Stand with your feet wider than hip width in a comfortable, stable position. Your toes may point forward or slightly outward. Now bend your knees a little and allow your hips to settle down slightly, not deeply, just enough to feel the thighs and hips engage. Hold the position gently. Keep your chest upright. Let your feet stay grounded. Allow the weight to spread evenly across both legs. As you hold, notice the difference. Not tension, but support. Some people notice a broader feeling of engagement through the thighs. Others feel more contact through the feet. What matters most is a quieter sense of stability, as if the legs are no longer working separately, but working together. Hold for a few comfortable seconds, then rise. Repeat 3 to 5 times. If lifting feels difficult, keep the stance narrower or bend the knees only slightly. Avoid sinking too low or holding your breath. Stay calm. A calm hold gives the body time to recognize a steadier support pattern. This movement often creates a different kind of change, not dramatic, but more complete. Standing feels more organized. Walking feels less wasteful, less tiring, more supported. Now, let's connect all three movements together. Before a walk, try one slow heel raise, one calm marching lift on each side, and one short horse stance hold. Repeat once or twice. Move gently and notice what changes. The feet may feel more awake, the legs more evenly organized, standing a little steadier, walking less draining before it even begins. Because sometimes the goal isn't to walk more, it's to help the legs waste less effort while walking, and that changes everything. Even if the shift feels small at first, you may already notice something different, a little warmth, a little clarity, a little more readiness. Nothing dramatic, but enough to feel. And that small shift is often where everything begins. Later today, when you stand up again, pay attention to that first step. When the legs are prepared, movement doesn't feel like effort. It feels natural again. And that quiet change is often what brings confidence back. Thank you for taking a few minutes to be here today. Wishing you steady steps and good health.